You know, I'm not dissing the military, folks. God bless all the people still in it. But some of us who get in, it's amazing we're alive. Myself included. There was a couple of stories I've seen from people, heard from people. My wife, after we left DLI, was sent to Texas, and while there, she was learning her job in the military. But there's also where they train firefighters to put out jets and such. So these guys have a mock F-16 out in the field that they just douse in jet fuel, light on fire, and put it out. At least once a week. And anybody who's ever fought that sort of thing knows it's a hard fire. You gotta applaud these guys, but there's a reason the training is there. It's not just to teach these folks how to deal with fires. It's to weed out the people who shouldn't be anywhere near fire. When you're done putting out this F-16, there is a policy that you go straight back to your room, strip off your clothes, shower, and then wash those clothes. Because you are doused in jet fuel, and the fumes from that can ignite from the simplest things. So, where my wife was staying was directly across the way from where these firefighters had their barracks. So every day, when she was done with her classes, she'd see them trooping back to go take their showers. Well, one day she's out there smoking a cigarette on the balcony, looks down, here comes a troop of them. Well, one of these fellas had this peculiar habit. One of those nervous things people do without even thinking about it, where he reaches into his pocket and flicks his Zippo lighter. Well, being the kind of folk that shouldn't play with fire, he did this doused in jet fuel. Went up like a Roman candle. I mean, anybody who's seen jet fuel go knows this stuff goes fast and hot. Luckily, they're all firefighters, so, they get blankets, they get extinguishers, they get him out. And he's wounded, but he's still alive and not completely gone, since jet fuel was burning off first before it was getting too hot in his skin, since the bottom of fire is the coolest all that junk. Anyway, they strap this poor guy on the gurney, pick him up, and are about to put him in the ambulance when he reaches into his pocket and does it again. Goes up in a ball of flame on the gurney! This is what makes me worry. Another thing DLI does is you have a class break where they encourage you to go out of the country and to the native country so you can immerse yourself and learn to speak the language better. It's highly encouraged. It doesn't always go so well. My wife read a story this guy posted on the military work website. They have a little chat program, forum thing, so you can talk to other people you're working with. He posts this on there from his adventure when they went out for their break. The fact that this guy posted this story blows my mind and would tell anyone, I don't understand. But here it goes. A group of 4 or 5 of them, students who were learning Arabic, went to Egypt for their 2-week class trip. Which is cool. They speak Arabic there in Egypt. Most people don't know what language they do, but there you go. Anyway, so they get off the plane, and the first thing they do is they drop off their stuff at the hotel and decide they want to go see the pyramids. First thing, first day, right now. But instead of, asking at the desk, finding a travel agency, anything of that sort, these geniuses decide to just ask 2 guys off the street to take them and show the pyramids. 2 random fucking people in the middle of Cairo. So these guys take them out into the desert, stop and say, all right, give us all your money or we're going to leave you out here. So they fork over the cash, and the guys leave them out there anyway. So they stumble back through the desert, back into the outskirts of Cairo. And one of them was just so smart enough to have some money in their shoe, and the others had more money back at the hotel, but they decide they're going to stop for a drink as soon as at the first bar they come to. You got to realize the way Cairo's set up. The outskirts of town are the slums. It's where the blue-collar folk, hardworking, leathernecks live. Well, they go into this bar in the middle of the slums, get down, and there's this one idiot who just starts going off on dirty frickin' Arabs. Ragheads need to do this. They're not fit to lick my feet. Anybody who knows Arabic culture knows even showing somebody the bottom of your feet is highly taboo and insulting because that's where dog shit and camel shit ends up on. You know, it's a very bad thing to do. That's why they threw shoes at President Bush because, well, it's as big an insult as you can get. He's lower than camel dung. Anyway, this guy starts spewing all this off. What he doesn't stop to think is that unlike Americans, 90% of the world is bilingual. And a lot of people in this world have English as a second language. So scattered throughout this bar are 3 or 4 other guys who actually understand everything he's saying. And are quite adamantly translating for the rest of the room. So this whole bar stands up, starts making their way towards the table with the 5 Americans when the only girl in the group has a brilliant idea. She remembers their teachers telling them that the only thing most foreigners know about America is what they see in movies. And one of the lot of things they see in movies is that all Americans carry guns at all times, everywhere they go. Because watch any action flick, that's what you'll learn. So she's like, hey, follow my lead, just do what I do. Slips her hand into her pocket and goes, freeze! And everybody else does the same, puts their hand in their pocket, the whole bar freezes. And they get up, they slowly back their way to the door, keep nice and calm. They get to the door, this fucking asshole speaks up again, pulls his hand out of his pocket and goes, ha! Yeah, it was at that point everybody said this guy should die. This entire bar starts pouring out into the street, chasing these guys through the slums. And as they're going, they're grabbing more Arabs here, more Arabs there. So there's like 50 or 60 of these guys chasing them through the streets of Cairo. Now, at this point they decide to split up, you know, give everybody a better chance to escape. So one guy, a couple of them go this way, a couple go that way, and the guy who's telling this story somehow ends up with the asshole. And they diverge off, and of course everybody's following the asshole. Well, he's running a little ways, and he's like, wait a minute. Fuck this! Why am I staying with this son of a bitch? Takes off running. For some unknown reason, the entire crowd leaves the asshole to go and follows the teller of the tale. Well, he's running through the streets of Cairo, and eventually he ends up in a dead-end alley. Now, he stops and realizes, you know what? He's screwed. He is going to die unless he does something serious. So he turns and decides he's going to fight and just hope to God there's a miracle. And sure enough, here come 20 or 30 Arabs, and it just ends up in a dog pile. There's feet flying, fists, blood. Everyone's piled on top of him. He gets so bent and twisted around, he can no longer feel from here down. You know, the blood's just been cut off. And he realizes he is going to die. And then there's a glimmer of hope. He sees that whilst amongst all this fighting, someone has slipped out of their pants. And hanging right here is the family jewels. So he bends and he twists and he contorts himself till finally he bites down on this guy's balls. And suddenly there's this howling scream as if the voice of God himself is calling down from the heavens in retribution. And everyone piles off and turn and run in terror at this crazy American who just bit himself in the balls! Ow! Anyway, so he hobbles back to the hotel to discover that everyone, including the asshole, made it back completely unscathed. And then spent the rest of the trip in his room with ice on his nuts. See, this is why people think so bad of us. You know, those of us, those people who actually get out of this country to represent us, sometimes shouldn't be the ones. We should have like some sort of registration process going, you know what? You had that thing with a goat last year. Why don't you just stay home for now? We'll talk about it next year, okay, son? More importantly, again, why would this guy tell the tale? If I bit my own fucking balls, I would tell no one. I would take that to the grave. The corner can wonder at the teeth marks on his own. Anyway, you guys have a good night. See you.